Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 107 of the Seezus Show. I know it's been quite some time. It feels like it's been, about a month since we released episode 106, Sir Seezus and myself and Trader XXIV. Matter of fact, the last episode we talked about was when LaMarcus Aldridge and Rajon Rondo debuted for their new respective teams. And since then, there's been a lot that has went on as well too. So shout out to LaMarcus Aldridge and his great grand career as well too. And like I said, there's been a lot of things that have been going on as well too. So just know that I've been busy, but I've been working on some good things on the side as well too. And I'm more than excited to get into today's hottest topics as well. So before we get into today's hot topic, I just want to let you guys know I appreciate the love and support as well. So continue to, comment on pages through the Facebooks, comment on Instagram, comment on all forms of social media as well too, and subscribe, rate, comment, and share at the Seezus Show at Sir Seezus and Trader XXIV. So, I had to make a comeback with my co-host, my boy. So, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my boy, my co-host, my boy from another mother, my brother from another mother, Trey Day XXIV. What it do, baby? Let's get it.
What's up? It's your boy Trey Day. Oh, day. Summertime vibes, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really summertime ready just yet. I got a few more push-ups to do. I got a few more edges to do. It's cut season, you know what I'm saying? Like that. I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna let my hair hang, if I keep it braided up. You know what I'm saying? It's the dilemma because everybody still got their quarantine locks, but it is what it is. But you already know it's another episode 107 of the Seezus Show. We've been gone too long, right or wrong. But yo, we got glad to be back in the spot. What's good with you, Sir Caesars? What's up, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Like you said, we've been gone too long. Is that a drink that you got right now? Is that what I see?
Hey, the police don't know what's in my clip, Playboy. This is
Mm,
orange juice, Playboy. It could be that Grey
mm,
Goose, baby. But hey,
mm.
toast, toast,
Toast, toast, toast, toast
cross
to the
continental
return.
toast. How
Nah,
you doing,
man.
man?
I'm doing great, man. Like I said, it's been a while. Um, since we were able to record an episode. So I know some people have been waiting on that and whatnot. But sometimes people just get busy. So as long as it's good busy, then it's
Yeah,
cool. But literally
yeah.
had my friend Mo visit me for some time, and then my sister and her friend came for some time, and then I was busy on set just doing some stuff as well too. So
Okay.
our times never kind of coincided with one another, but
Yeah, man.
should be good to
We're
go
busy
moving
guys.
forward, and hopefully we have a in-person episode real soon, so that would be very very nice. So
Maybe we'll see.
that maybe we'll
Who knows?
see. But there was someone who brought to my attention that from the last episode they really like when we do the check-ins and whatnot as well too. So I want to continue that moving forward as well too. And I kind of got inspired from watching I Am Athlete, when Brandon Marshall kind of did the check-ins as well too. So that's what kind of prompted everything as well too. So with that being said, how do you feel, from a mental standpoint, spiritual standpoint, all those standpoints? How you feeling right now? Without, I guess you don't have to go into detail,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
but
yeah.
how you feeling on all levels, man?
I'm media trained to a certain extent. um, Nah, I feel all right, man. In some ways anxious, in some ways working very, very smart and diligently to not compare myself because compare is the thief for joy. And no matter what you were going through in these year and some months or however long or year that has been since, the gates have been opened or closed for pandemic and then open kind of post pandemic, but it's not post pandemic. But there are different variables and different things that can lead to you being outside and being around people and kind of being back in that mix. Um, it was a chaos in being alone and being indoors in a way and not being around a lot of people, but there was also a safety in that as well for some of the mental, some of that for certain people. And for me, I move so much. I'm just trying to protect myself and protect that energy even when I'm out and about. You see so much stuff. Everything is like a show in some ways. People are trying to get their money back. People are trying to put on for different people. So I mean, and the hype is good sometimes, but at the same time, you're out and you see it and you're like, yo, I worked on this the whole time, or I worked on this for a number of time, or I had to face this with myself for a certain time during this time period, during this break from Toronto, if you will. And you're trying to stay true to yourself in that. So I think I've been pretty good about it. My thing is, I was down in Dallas a few weeks ago, and the phrase for that weekend was "I can swim." Yo, bro, you trying to do this? Yeah, I can swim. It's whatever. Yo, I can swim. It's whatever. You know what I'm saying? I can swim, which means that no matter what the tide, or even sail, if you may, no matter what the tide, no matter what the current, no matter what it is, you always have a route that you're on. You have to stay true to yourself. You have to, feel that energy. You have to make it organic, because there was so much organic things that the pandemic brought out. There's going to be such a hype and such an energy that might be negative for some people, that's going to come when everything opens up. And for sanity, for spiritual reasons, and for just growth reasons, you have to recognize where you are at in that tier, and not just get thrown out into the vortex that could be opening back up for capital gain, for show, for just the hype of being there. Always tend to yourself, tend to others around you in an organic, loving fashion, when it comes to energy, and when it comes to when we're getting back together, because there's a lot of crazy happening right now as well, right? So always foster a loving, a caring, and a safe environment for others, for women, for the diversity of whatever your friend group may be, or whatever your community may be. You got to make sure you do that. So that's where I am. I'm trying to keep it grounded in that. What's up with you, man? I know that was a long-winded answer, but I had to get that out. You know what I'm saying?
No, that was great, man. Like I said, we haven't spoken in a while, so it's always good to check on a fellow brother, see how they're doing as well too, and it just puts things into perspective. So I love that. Whenever you ramble, I love it. What I'm saying, the rants, about whether it be about the Earth being flat, or aliens coming to take over, or anime reference. I love all of it. Conspiracy
Oh,
theories, I love all that shit.
oh man.
Nah, but I mean, pretty much the same. From a mental standpoint, I feel great. I actually do feel great. I know, like last time when we spoke, I was kind of all over the place with kind of coming back to myself and whatnot. But having my family and close friends, visit for just a little bit, really did help as well too. Weather's getting a little bit better. Things are starting to open back up, and I'm continuing to just better myself in all aspects. So that's been good. From a
That's awesome.
physical standpoint, been lacking a little bit, but I've started to become a little bit routine as well to organize. You can see, like, if you can see back there, I got a little
Hey.
calendar that I put up right there. So I kind of want to live by that moving forward, because I used to have it back in the day, but when I moved from Richmond over here, I kind of sometimes utilize like a little journal or a little like agenda, but I
Yeah.
rather see it physically every single day when I wake up. That's the first thing I see. So that's been working numbers for me as well too. And
Can
then
I ask
from
you
a
a question?
spiritual, yeah, go ahead.
Before you get to the spiritual standpoint, and you can be as above the shallow, the deep waters as you like to be this question, because this is a question that I will ask you after as well. But just for our listeners, people that tuned in, people that might get a lot from this segment, um, you're in a new place. Does it get lonely being in that new place? And what are some of the ways that you use to kind of pick yourself up and kind of stay at a basis, stay with good energy, being in a new place that you might not have as much family and friends around in that space?
Oh yeah, it gets lonely as hell.
Yeah.
Don't let that fool you. If someone says they don't get lonely, then they're just built completely different. I mean, I'm built
Yeah.
different as well too, but the fact that I'm almost damn near 3,000 miles away, the fact that I came here off of impulse, the fact that I not only came here off of impulse, I came here during a pandemic when everything was closed, was kind of weird. And then I already knew of some people here as well too, so I was like, all right, it's gonna be easy. Connection gonna be easy, but you start to realize, and I can only speak geographically speaking from where I'm located at right now. A
Yeah.
lot of people will say one thing, but they'll do the complete opposite. So basically, it's kind of like starting from scratch as well too. But there's a lot of days where I'm real high, and there's a lot of days where I'm real low. So it's a very, very ebb and flow process. But what gets me through that is, having the ability to utilize social media, or just utilize the updated technologies that we have, where I'm interacting with my family and friends virtually as well too. Reading a lot, just going out and just doing something that you enjoy, whether it's going out to take photos, going out on a walk, meditating, like I said, reaching out to people, or just meeting new people as well too, picking their brains and whatnot. So
Okay. That's
those
awesome,
things
bro.
kind of keep me level headed. And yeah, I would say that. So just doing what you love, just exploring, and just knowing that there's always someone that you can confide in, if you have the luxury of that. Some people don't, but I'm blessed enough to have that. So those are things that kind of keep me um, level headed, and also just my, I wouldn't necessarily say pride, but I feel like I'm truly meant to do great things. So that kind of, me reconfirming that with myself, basically definitely helps me as well too.
Of course.
So I hope that answered your question to an extent.
Definitely.
And then
Definitely.
from a spiritual standpoint, I just feel good, man. Like I said, meditating a little bit more, expressing gratitude more and more and more. I'm a true believer of you reap what you sow, in a sense as well too. And I've just been trying to give more, whether it be something from a financial standpoint, or just just a part of me giving advice to people. I feel like if you put out goodness into the universe, that goodness will come back to you as well too. So I've been pretty good as well too. And then one thing that I like your saying you had when you went to Dallas, when I was on set, and I'll tell you about this afterwards.
Okay.
One thing that kind of stuck with me was from a guy that I was on set with for a little bit. He said, "Closed mouths don't get fed," and I know it's very basic, but that kind of stuck with me all week. You know what I'm saying? So to me, when I decipher that, I feel like just never be afraid to do anything, and don't be
Hmm.
afraid to ask questions as well too, because you may seem a little hesitant with certain things, but people who are students of the game will just that will get you so far in life from being someone who stands down as opposed to someone that stands out. So I kind of stick by that. And then just being around successful individuals, you kind of get to hear, you kind of realize they're in their own element. So when I
Yeah.
say their own element, they're all in a certain stratosphere, right? And they all say the same exact thing. So I know I'm kind of doing something right if I'm living by these. So
Facts.
a couple gems that got dropped to me was, one, find something that you're passionate about, and once you find something that you're passionate about, put that time, energy, and effort into that as well too. Two, surround yourself around like-minded individuals as well. Have a strong support system. So that would be three. Four, never be afraid to fail, because failure is the best teacher as well too. So if you can have all those things in tandem, then you should be able to go out and get what you desire as well too. And the law of attraction is real. So that was my rant right there. But without further ado, are you ready to get into the hottest topics of episode 107, Sir Caesar's Trade Day XXIV?
Let's go.
All right, all right. But before we get into the hottest topics, I just want to pay homage, give a shout out to the Bryant family. Gigi would have been, I believe, 14 years old yesterday, May the 1st. So birthday just passed. Shout out to her, and everyone as well too, with that family as well. Now, let's get into the hottest topics. The
Yeah.
King,
Yeah. Yeah.
LeBron, GOAT, James, just returned the other day, and they went up against the Sacramento Kings. So for those of you guys who don't know, but I'm sure that all of you guys know, he suffered a severe, severe, severe ankle sprain, and that had him sidelined since March the 21st, I believe. So he missed
Tough
a
one.
grand total of 21 games because of that. So that was the
Phew,
most
phew.
games he's missed in his career. And he's
Yeah.
36 years old, which is kind of crazy. So
Yeah.
during his stint being away, the Lakers went 8-12 without him. They end up dropping to the 6th seed. And right now they're tied as far as record wise with Dallas, but Dallas holds that tiebreaker because that AD can at least win one game with them. So they would still play the Nuggets if the playoffs were to start today. So the 3 versus 6 seed. But he had no minutes restriction in his return. He played a little under 32 minutes and finished with 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists, and shot 50% from the field. Very LeBron James like. So obviously, he kind of came a little bit early because I felt like there was definitely a sense of urgency with the Lakers losing all those games, and he wants as much rest as possible in the sense of if you're the 1 through 6 seed, you're kind of secured, but if you're 7 through 10, then you're in the playing game, so nothing's promised as well too. So he needs a little
Yeah.
bit of rest, and I think when he spoke at his post game, he said it's still a little tight, but it's one of those things where you just have to play through it, and you kind of have to build up that immunity in a sense. So I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine, but he played with a bit. He played on a bit of cruise control, but even though he was still on cruise control, he was still on the floor. He looked very explosive. His ability to still play that safety position and get players in positioning for defense, his ability to read and react, him putting his teammates in the right positions to be successful, making them better, his dominance in the post, his attack, and we got to see like a little LeBron Drummond connection as well too. So that was pretty good to see, and he's needed for the NBA off the floor and on the floor as well too. And the Lakers desperately need him right now as well too. But I have a question for you, Trader XXIV. Will
What's good?
LeBron James returning, for the Lakers, what does it mean for the NBA, and what does it mean for the Lakers and the West moving forward as well too?
Well, I mean, for the NBA, it's somebody who's your brand. You know what I'm saying? If we had to go, it was probably Jordan, Kobe, and then LeBron in the same kind of sense. As far as lineage of people that no matter if it's basketball or not basketball, you will recognize these people. People recognize LeBron James. I mean, from basketball, but LeBron James' name, whether it be on a soccer pitch or volleyball or so on. There's very little people that might be like, "Yo, who was that?" That'd be LeBron James. So, I mean, it's huge. This guy's playing at 36, playing at a high level. And to your comments, this is the first amount of games that this is the longest amount of games that he's missed in his entire career, and it's the ankle. And it was the ankle that it wasn't tweaked. It was ankle that was, an outside force injured it. So you put all that together and it's like, all right, he comes back. The biggest thing for this, with the Lakers being at the 6th seed, I doubt they really wanted to be at the 6th seed. They probably would have been at whatever position, but it's a LeBron James team. And with anybody that comes from injury or has like nagging kind of stuff, or you just want your system to work, it's one of those things where like, yo, I have the capability. It's like having an amazing driver, but the car is 2 years out of date. You know what I'm saying? Or the car is so many years out of date. You know what you want to do. You know the turns you want to make. You know just how you want to take that you know that turn, that straightaway, how you want to pass different people. But when the equipment is out of date, sometimes that hinders you from doing such. And you don't want that to happen with the best player in the world, LeBron James, who probably takes better care of his body than you and me and all of our viewers combined. So uh, you want to make the playoffs because this is a year where you can win the title somehow, some way. But you also want to be true to the rehabilitation through the. Oh, excuse me. That's my laptop. I'm watching highlights and talking at the same time.
No problem, no
Um,
problem.
yeah, but
True
you
to
want to be,
rehabilitation.
yeah, you want to be true to that process so it doesn't compromise you coming down the stretch, coming down to the more physical and demanding games. So you want to keep that car, which is for all intents and purposes a nice foreign or a nice little BMW that runs on premium gas, but you want to be able to whip it when you want to know how to whip it, and so on and so forth. So that's LeBron James right now. And another sentiment that I have, this will be my last thing on this topic, is that wasn't the funnest team to come back against, simply because it's not a half court team. The Kings love to run. You got De'Aaron Fox at the helm. You got the other hitters who, quick, shoot fast, get up the floor fast. Um, it's not the easiest team to come back against, no matter what place they are in the West. They're a run and gun team. So you bring your superstar back out. You want to hit your groove, whatever like that. It's not the most easy. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it was a good showing from his half court sets, from getting it done. I think LeBron looked pretty good. I think the Lakers should be in a good spot. Just keep him healthy. Um, Even though he's not on a minute restriction, he's King James, whatever like that. He knows his body. I think you pull him at very specific points in the game. You pull him until it comes down to, I'm not even sure when the playoffs are starting right now. It's a totally different year. But you pull him all the way going maybe until June. Uh, and you got to play it like that, unless the playoffs are in jeopardy. But you make sure he gets his rest no matter what. So that's my spill on that.
Yeah, and another thing as well too to add on to that, I feel like obviously it was a sense of urgency and they're playing for positioning right now, but if we've seen any past trends from LeBron James, he needs time to figure out his teammates and whatnot.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
obviously acquiring Andre Drummond, getting Ben McLemore as well too. I think he wants time to kind of figure out how are we going to be successful with all of us on the floor as well too. So
Facts.
I think and literally you just reinserted AD, you just had Drummond, so you have to have not only AD and Drummond coexist, but you also have to have LeBron coexist with everyone else again as well too, especially the superstars. So I think that's one of the biggest things as well too. And like I said, we saw flashes of what they can become as well, but it's more so getting back, his conditioning and win back, and then gaining that chemistry as well too. Because when LeBron James is on the floor, I don't think none of us think that they don't have a shot. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
They're champions for a reason. So I expect them to, if they're fully healthy, get their shit together. To be honest with you, so
Yeah.
they got a couple games left, and it's gonna be pretty damn tough, man. So they could see themselves outside of the a secured spot. So they have 9 games left this month, and then it's pretty much over with. They play the Raptors tonight, who got Kyle Lowry, Pascal, and Fred VanVleet back not too long ago, who are gonna give you the run for their money. They're still a couple games behind. I think 3 games behind for the play-in, so they're gonna play their ass off. After that, you got the Nuggets with Jokic, who's been balling out his mind, who we're gonna talk about a little bit later. And then after that, they got the Clippers on TNT on Thursday. So the Clippers, they got something to prove. You
Hmm.
got the Blazers with Dame, who basically slipped out of the top 6 spot, and now he's playing for the play-in yet again, which is going to be crazy. But they've been on a 3-game win streak. You have the Suns, who just got the number 1 record in the West, which we'll talk about, but now they're number 2 just because Utah won last night, and they're just a half a game behind each other. Then you got the Knicks, who have been revitalized this whole season. They're making a lot of noise, and they want to see where they compare against the defending champs. So they're going to give you their all. You got the Rockets, should be a dub. You got the Pacers, possibly a dub, and then you got the Pelicans as well too, and Zion and all them trying to play in the playing game. So you can look at going 500, you can look at going over 500, you can look at losing all these games potentially as well too. So hopefully they can win enough games just to stay in that 4 to the 6 seed that we're looking for. But like I said, you got LeBron James, you got AD, you got Drummond, you got a great coach, you got good depth. So there's no reason why they shouldn't find ways to string these W's along as well too. With the Lakers fully healthy, you think they can still get back to the finals? Obviously, the West has gotten tougher. There's a super team out on the East Coast and some other pretty damn good teams as well too. But do you think when it's all said and done, they can still get to the finals this year?
Yeah, I think they're the favorite. Um, Simply because of damn all these noises. But I think they're the favorite. I mean, they're the Western Conference champions, and they are the NBA champions for that matter. Um, there's no team that I see from a complete that could beat them 4 games just yet. They'd have to convince me otherwise. There's teams that are on streaks. There's such an attention to detail coming down the stretch in the final days, but when it comes down to it, and there's some time in between and there's game planning, I think the Lakers are still the best team in the Western Conference until somebody proves me differently.
Yeah, honestly, I think the only thing I'm concerned about right now is will they have enough games going into the playoffs? But then again, if you
Big
can look
question.
back at last year, because they what in the bubble they played under 10 games and then they went straight to the playoffs. So
Oh
I
yeah.
guess that would be one of my things. And then obviously AD's been banged up, but before his injury, I don't know if he was battling through it. the entire season when it restarted. This is AD's lowest numbers across the board, I think, since his rookie year as well, too.
Sheesh.
We know what LeBron James is going to give, but if AD can't be bubble AD or regular season AD from last season,
Gonna be
then
tough.
a team could sneak up on him as well too. So he got to get his shit together. But we'll see how it goes. But like you said, it's really tough to beat LeBron James 4 times. So they should be the favorites as of right now as well too.
He's Thanos.
He's Thanos. He's definitely Thanos. There's another Thanos called KD, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but we'll save that for later. So moving on to the next topic. Like I said before, I was kind of excited. You know what I'm saying? I had to change up the title, but the original title was going to be the Phoenix Suns are the number one seed. They're not the number one seed anymore. So they were technically the number one seed for less than 24 hours, but then Utah won as well too. So I think Utah just has played one more game ahead of them. So hypothetically speaking, if the Suns were to play today or whether it's tomorrow, I got to check the schedule, and they win, they had a number one seed. So it's going to go back and forth for the entire year. But the fact that they were the number one seed for a while, right now they currently have a record of 45-18. Like I said, Utah just won last night, so now Utah's 46-18. The Suns are 45-18. That just speaks kind of volumes to the coaching staff, to the players, and just the entire franchise in general, who's suffered a long ass drought as well too. Um, Booker and CP3 tandem. I never doubt if it would work or not. I knew it was going to work. They've been both playing great. Devin Booker started off a little rough, but he's starting to pick it back up. For the season, he's been averaging 26, 4 and 4, shooting 49% from the field, 86% from the free throw line. And then you got CP3 point guard, averaging 16, 9 and 4, shooting 38% from three, 93% from the free throw line. And as old as CP3 is, I think he's the same age as LeBron. He's only missed one game this season. So that speaks a lot about CP3. My question for you is, every couple years we have this new emerging team, right? We had the Warriors, we had OKC in the past. We had the Bulls with Derrick Rose. We had this Houston team that came out of nowhere not too long ago. We had the Bucks who emerged as well too, and then we had the Nuggets. And now I feel like the team now is the Suns. Should we take the Suns seriously now? And how much of a threat do you think they actually are going into the playoffs? And then also, do you think that to get to at least make a run to the conference finals, do you think they need the number one seed to get that far?
I think consistency speaks for something. So I don't believe they might need the number one seed just to get to the conference finals. I think they can put it together because they won consecutive games. That's why they're in the number one seed. Uh, my thing is CP3 knows how to win games, man. We saw him with the Thunder still a few games last year, and this might be a better team than the Thunder was last year. So I don't never doubt CP3. I don't doubt Chris Paul. I think Devin Booker getting stronger and stronger, being Kobe-esque in a way. You have to respect that as well too. I think it comes down to the experience of the rest of the team after you get past the fall off. That's what it is. The experience of the rest of the team. So you have your two that could do what they need to do, but the playoffs are a totally different game. So that's what we see with these kind of teams that emerge. Say, yo, this is the Bulls team, this is the Thunder team, this is the whatever team. Um, cool. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Y'all go out and play, y'all hoop, you know what I'm saying? But the grown men gonna come on the court later. And y'all better not be here unless y'all really want, you know what I'm saying, unless y'all gonna have a long day. And we talk differently, we hit differently, and there's a different outcome for these things because, it's pride on pride instead of emotions and X and O's. Sometimes it's just, I'm here, what's up, what you gonna do, and it's a different realm in general. It's fun and games, then you got, what I'm saying, oh, they take it to the soul realm or whatever realm, Yu-Gi-Oh, you know what I'm saying. Like it's also fun duel, then it's boom, big up yourself. So I think that the Suns have put together an amazing season, but for the teams that have been battle tested in the playoffs, they're going to give them a run for the money. If not, they're going to show them what it's like to be in the playoffs. So next time when they have this kind of season and so on and so forth, they know what's up. But in recent history, and to my knowledge, I haven't seen a team perform like this out of the blue that hasn't been playoff tested and really go on to get to the conference finals for that matter. They might still a series, but to the conference finals, you know what I'm saying? That's why, for all intents and purposes, LeBron and them, they want to, win, get to that 6, 5, 4 seed, cool, if possible. But if they sit at 7 or 8, you're not going to be tripping. I mean, the play on games, different story. But if they have solidified a spot and they have to play 1 or 2, I doubt they're going to lose their minds.
Yeah. So to answer your question, where we haven't seen a team kind of basically just catapult Miami Heat last year. They didn't make the playoffs the year before. Obviously, they signed Jimmy Butler, just how the Suns signed CP3, and they went to the finals. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Where they
anything can
finishing?
happen. Huh? I think they were a 4 or 5 seed. Yeah, 4 or 5 seed because they played the Pacers the first round, the 4 or 5, and then the 4 or 5 plays the 1 seed, which were the Bucks, and they lost to. I mean, then they beat the Bucks in 5 games, I believe, as well too. So, you could have that team that's just destined for greatness, as well too. So I would not disregard that, but I do agree with you as well. The fact that I think all but CP and Jay Crowder have only been to the playoffs and been battle tested. That
Yeah,
may be something that's huge as well too.
that's a long road.
But I think with Monty Williams, I think he's a great coach. I think he's going to have a great, solid game plan, game in and game in and game out as well too. One thing that you can lean on is your defense as well. So I feel like the Suns have played stellar defense, from start to finish as well too. And then the playoffs, it's all about attention to detail. It's all about late game situations on the fly as well too. So with them, I feel like even though Devin Booker hasn't tasted a glimpse of the playoffs, I don't think the moment's too big for him, right? And I feel like
Yeah.
with CP3 guiding them and leading them there, I think they'll put themselves in good positions to, grind out some wins as well too. So can they get to the conference finals? I think it's a lot easier if you're the number 1 seed because after the second round you play the 4 and 5 winner of 4 and 5. But like we know with the West, we've seen in past years, for example, with my Spurs, they were the 6 seed 1 year and they lost to the Clippers. You know what I'm saying? And they won the championship the year before. So, and then we saw Golden State years back, Golden State against Dallas with Dirk, the 8 seed upset the 1 seed. So we can see anything happen. And
Facts.
if there's any indication, the West has been the most dominant conference these past couple of years as well too. I mean, look how many championships between 2010 and 2020 that we've seen from the Western Conference as well too. So I think they can go far, but I think seeding will matter as well too. Moving on from that and staying on, I guess, the track of the Suns as well too. You know, should Booker or CP3 even be considered for MVP? A lot of people aren't talking about that as well too. But like I said, depending on if they just get a string of game along as well. They go from the number 1 seed to the number 1, 2 seed in the West. They go from the number 1 seed to the number 1, 2 seed in the entire NBA. And like I said, I gave you Booker's numbers, who's had an 8-0 start in the bubble, and then from the 8-0 start to have one of the best records and back it up. And then also, like you said, with CP3, if you look at CP3's history, even like you alluded to with OKC, every single franchise that he's went to, he's like King Midas. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah,
has a
golden.
certain golden touch to these teams where you expect them not to go far, you expect them not to make the playoffs, and he overachieves every single time. So I know a lot of people now. It's like you not only have to have the best record, but you also your numbers have to back it up as well too.
Mm-hmm.
But when have we actually talked about the leadership component as well too? I mean, if you look in the past, Steve Nash won 2 MVPs, and his numbers were not godly because that year you could argue Shaq or Kobe or D Wade should have won the MVP that year as well too, putting up godly numbers. But do you
Yeah.
think CP3 should at least be considered like a top 3 candidate, or even a Devin Booker be considered a top 3 candidate for MVP?
I think from a basketball standpoint, somebody that coaches, watches, and is learning basketball more and more. I think I understood basketball at a high level, but I think I am learning it more and more as time goes on, just coaching will humble you. If anybody, coaching, I'm coaching a certain age group, um, and this is pre-high school age group, but even still, like, it shows you how much IQ you have to have. It shows you how much goes into the game. And for somebody that from the outside looking in, but it's still attached to the game very much in the same vein. I'm one of the organs of the body of basketball, being a coach and also playing in a way. Um, it's immeasurable the impact that somebody like a CP3 would have on the game. If I had one person like a CP3 um, in my huddle, that's what I'm trying to teach. I'm trying to teach them to all be a CP3 kind of thing. If I had one person that was like a CP3, I'm not sure how many games we will lose. You know what I'm saying? It's not even how many games we will win. I'm not sure how many games we will lose because I could tell you, you could convey, and you could Picasso Bob Ross it on a freaking canvas. You know what I'm saying? Like you could make it happen. Manifestation and turning a thought or a speech into an actual thing that is done is a power, right? It's crazy. So basketball aside, being able to think it, say it, and do it is like it's alchemy. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't there before. You create your own reality. So you come to the basketball court. People like a CP3, people like a Devin Booker in the making, or even like a LeBron that we can't stop talking about him. That it's like, yo, I have this vision in my head. I know I can get to the finals. I can boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna Picasso it. I know the colors that I have, the players, the personnel on my team. I can draw it, and every year people are gonna talk about this. People are gonna have to respect this. That is the essence of life and the essence of power that we have, being who we are. Don't discount your energy. But that's what we love about sports. It's like somebody says, yo, I think I can do it. Boom, they go out there and do it, and we lose our freaking minds about it, night in and night out. That's the beauty of this life. You have the opportunity, you seize the opportunity, you do it. So, coming back to the original question, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we've been away for a while. I had to get my stuff. But come back to our original question. Do I think somebody like that should be in MVP contention? Yes, because it's not easy to do that. You have to be cut from a certain cloth to do that. You have to have a certain aura about you, a certain understanding of principles, of matter, of people to do what you do. And Chris Paul has gone from team to team to do it. On top of, I don't know what the relationship is, but on top of, there was rumors that Doc Rivers and the Philly were trying to pursue him very, very strongly before the season. And it could be West Coast living, and it could be whatever like that. But Chris Paul was like, nah, I'm gonna stay in Phoenix. I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? He could have the LA crib, whatever like that. He's gonna stay close to his family, and that's understandable. But even still, to make that decision to be like, nah, I'm not gonna go to Philly, which was damn near a playoff contender. And with CP3, if my points argue to be true, and if A, B, C, then Philly would be the favorite in the East if they had CP3, regardless of what's going on in Brooklyn. I'm sorry, because he's just that much of a catalyst. You know what I'm saying? He's like a 20-point boost, whether it be from him or from his assists or his leadership. Simple as that. So you have to look at somebody like that and say, hey, yeah, what I mean, it's not the prettiest thing, and it's not the thing that's oohs and ahs, but for somebody that can go in and affect the game and change the nature and the feeling and the energy and the outcome of a game and the outcome of a team season, CP3 easy, and a Devin Booker, uh, for the numbers that he does. He doesn't have the CP3 effect just yet, but he's well on his way there.
Yeah, I feel like it's just been a like a grand war this entire year. When I say that, there's just been so many cases for who should be MVP, and people are just trying to get this war over with. But
Yeah,
as
yeah,
you go through the war, there's a lot of deaths, there's a lot of tolls that are being taken and whatnot as well too. So we've seen a levy of injuries from Giannis with his ankle and knees to James Harden and his hamstring to Donovan Mitchell with his ankle lately. KD hasn't played enough games and B's been in and out the lineup. LeBron, like I said, missed like 19, 20 games as well too. There's been so many players in and out the lineup, and so many MVP contenders. That this may be the craziest MVP race that we've known of, at least for the the duration of the season and the most of the season as well too. And sometimes in my head I'm like, yo, should we even have an NBA MVP? But you have to give the award out as well too. And
Have to.
honestly, there's only two front runners in my opinion right now that's left over. CP3, in which you just stated a strong case for, and I stated a strong case for. But then we have the Joker, Nikola Jokic. And if we go off of the past trends of the criteria for MVP, then I think last night he pretty much closed the deal against the Clippers as well too, his arch nemesis.
Facts.
So Jokic has been the MVP by default. He's averaging as a big man 26 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists as a big, shooting 57% from the field, 41% from the three, 86% from the free throw line, and has not missed an entire game. Jinx, knock on wood as well too. They start off very, very slow. Now they're the third seed in the West at a record of 43-21. And catch this, and I'm so sad we never got to really talk about Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, hope your
Yeah, it's
rehab
tough.
goes well. Goes well. One of my favorite players. I was looking so forward to seeing him go crazy in the playoffs. But without Jamal Murray, they are 9-1 right now. So is there even a debate on who the MVP should be, or should we just give it to Jokic right now? Like, or someone that like what like let me know what you're thinking right now.
I mean that makes a strong case for it. I saw Embiid in a few games, and I just watching the games, and I was like, like he's been putting up crazy numbers, but I was still like, when watching the game. Jokic just he just does basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like he just does basketball well. Um, and with Jamal Murray going out, this is a team that I'd be like, yo, if they were in the Western Conference Finals or even in the NBA championship, I wouldn't be surprised. The Jazz, I still feel like are a year off, and that's not losing disrespect to who
Spider.
Spider Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell, or even the kid that's been hooping for them, light skin dude,
Rudy, Jordan,
huh?
Rudy,
Gordon, right? No, no,
Rudy
he
Gobert.
came from Cleveland. Isn't he on the Jazz?
Oh, Jordan Clarkson.
Clarkson.
Clarkson, Clarkson.
Yeah, yeah. No disrespect with Jordan
Yeah.
Clarkson, Rudy Gobert, so on and so forth. Or even Mike Conley. But I just feel like they're still a year off because that's just how things are going. You know what I'm saying? Like you just have to wait in line, bro. You little bro. You little bro. You know what I'm saying? That's my little man. That's my little man.
And
But
also they haven't obviously as of late. Sorry to interject, but they haven't been affected by COVID. It's kind of funny because Rudy Gobert sparked the whole shutting down the NBA,
yeah,
but and they
he
haven't
is
been
COVID.
really hurt by injuries as well too as of late. Obviously Donovan Mitchell just got hurt, but they kind of had a jump start ahead of everyone as well too. And that's a
Facts.
reflection of their record. But go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. But for all intents and purposes, if I had to kill my love affair with Joel Embiid, not focus on the miscellaneous people out there. Jokic plays basketball, his team's winning, and like, what else? What else do you want? You know what I'm saying? Like the MVP is such a subjective kind of thing. Like, what else do you want? And I think he does it very, very well.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, looking at how the media hands out the award, I think, like I said, with yesterday, with the Clippers, Kawhi coming back and it being a close game, I was like, yo, you wrap this joint up. They about
Yeah,
to give it to you in a
yeah,
bow. Here you go.
yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. And as of late, even though the Sixers have been winning, Embiid hasn't been nearly as dominant as he was.
Hmm.
I think they're gonna give it to him as well too. But either way, I wouldn't be mad on who they give it to. But I
Yeah,
think you have to put into consideration this year. You really have to sit down and you really have to think before you give that vote out on, are we going to just do numbers, or are we going to not only do numbers and record, but we're also going to do just your impact as just being like a leader, like we said with the CP3 as well too. So I think it's going to be very very hard for people to vote for and against both of those two that I think are basically have it tied up for MVP as well too.
Yeah,
Um,
numbers are one thing, but doing all the other stuff is a totally different thing. As you introduce the next topic, I'm gonna walk and talk for 2 seconds. I gotta just check on
yeah,
something, but
walk and talk,
yeah,
walk and talk,
for
walk and
for
talk.
for 2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 1, 2. All right, I'm kidding. No, we're good with that. So, Lamelo Ball returned yesterday as well too, and I know we had a couple episodes back when we were essentially talking about, yo, is he going to be the rookie of the year? Is it a foregone conclusion? And obviously, in our heads, it was as well too. He ended up missing 21 games because he fractured his wrist, but he did come back last night on Saturday on the 1st of May, and he played 28 minutes, but he scored 11 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. So obviously, we have people who have regular cable television, we have people who have subscription services, we have people who pirate and watch these games online for the free 99. But if you are someone who has money and is willing to spend money, if you don't have NBA League Pass, I advise you to go invest into NBA League Pass. Now you can do something where it's monthly, you can do it for the year, or you could just spend it on a specific team at a specific region. But LaMelo Ball is must watch TV. And I'm not
TV.
kidding,
Yes,
bro. Like,
sir.
it's actually crazy. And me and you always talk about from a philosophical and just from a spiritual standpoint with energy, right? There's a certain amount of players who their energy, when I talk about that, just their aura with them, when they give the ball to someone, that energy just harnesses into that person,
Transfers.
and it transfers into that person. They're able to just play better and make the shot as well too. There's very
That's what I'm
few on that
talking
list.
about. That's what I'm
There's
talking about.
there's very few on that list. You got LeBron, you got Harden, you got CP3. You can also argue Russ. You got Luca. You know what I'm saying? You got a couple amount of players, but LaMelo Ball is one of those players. And I was watching the game yesterday as well, so I kind of fell asleep in the second half. But they started off a little shaky. I don't know if it's they just had to get Lamelo reintegrated into their system, so they had to get refamiliarized with playing with them as well too. But I was like, in the first quarter, they already had like 5 assists. I'm like, yo, this mother should have 10, 11 assists right now
Facts.
if they weren't missing their shots. But the way he just breaks down the defense, the way he just sees plays happening before it happens is just kind of crazy at the age of 19 as well too.
He's 19.
Um,
That's crazy.
and he just plays with no fear. He makes his teammates. There's one thing about making your teammates better, but there's another thing where you can actually physically see how his teammates love and want to play for him night in and night out. Like they will go to war for this guy as well too. And
Yeah.
yesterday, I've never seen it before. I've seen the Kevin Love, full court pass. You know what I'm saying? I've seen the no look passes from players, or between the leg pass from a player. You know what I'm saying? But I've never seen with my two eyes a full court pass from a player who underhand scoops the ball and then lands perfectly into Bridges' hand. He just goes for a layup as well too. But LaMelo, man, I hope they can be a part of playing game. Obviously, Gordon Hayward's been out for a little bit. Devontae Graham has been battling some knee injuries as well too. Malik Monk just returned, so they've been battling injury bug a little bit. Obviously, he's been out as well too, but they're one of those teams that are going to be scary as well too. So with the return of LaMelo, obviously, like I said, there's different criteria for judging things as well too. I think they have about 9, 10 games left as well too. Do you think, even with him missing those 21 games, he still has a legitimate shot to win Rookie of the Year this year?
Mm, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think other than Anthony Edwards balling, doing what he has to do, putting up numbers wise, I think he has a solid chance, because I mean, again, this is one of the years that we have to be realistic about the injuries and the COVID protocols and such like that. But between Lamelo, Anthony Edwards, and could make a case for is Cole Anthony's first year in the league too, right?
Yeah,
For
it's
the
his
second,
first year.
it's first.
His first
Yeah,
year.
I
Yeah,
mean,
his first year.
could make a slight case for that for him, but Yeah, I think he could be in the running. I'm not saying he's going to get it for sure out. But if you take the time and kind of just look at his stuff and look how he affects the game, as well as kind of the scoring streaks that he's gone on, um, it's kind of clear cut to understand why he should and could be the rookie of the year. Just with the energy, whatever like that. If they had to make it an anime, you know what I'm saying? Is what it is. You know what I'm saying? He is the leader. He is Sage Mode. If it was One Piece, it would be Conqueror Hockey. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to my One Piece fans. But that is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's just and the whole battlefield is affected by it. Whatever it is, you can't describe it because it's an intangible. And there's no stat line, there's no statistic for intangibles, but they do happen, and there's a reason why um, things are the way they are. For Lamelo, for a CP3, and even for Anthony Edwards, putting up the numbers, but it's just a different kind of feel we get every time we see Lamelo. I mean, it could be the press too. Um, and we talked about, hey, he's not on TV. It's Charlotte's a smaller market, but anytime we get him, they hype him up and make sure, he gets showed his respect and his love. And it's like, yo, but this kid can hoop, man. He can hoop, and he's only 19. Give it 2-3 years, and it could be really scary hours. No Drake, you heard me?
No, Drake, you heard me. It's crazy because when you think of Lonzo, the first thing that comes to mind is you think of LeVar. But when I think of LaMelo, I just think of LaMelo. So it's crazy. Hopefully his brother can get up to his level. No knock
Facts.
on his brother, but hopefully he can get on his level because, damn,
Yeah.
LaMelo, like I'm watching. Shout out to my brother who has an NBA League Pass, but I'm watching every game that he's in right now, and like I said, like it's must watch television. I don't care if they playing the Kings or they playing the Bulls or they playing whoever the worst team is. I'm my eyes are glued to the screen, and I'm gonna be a fan, continue moving forward. And I know he wants to be great, so I can't wait to see what he adds to his game every single year as well too, and what pieces MJ can bring around and build around him as well too. So that's going to be an exciting team to see moving forward. So is he going to be rookie of the year? I think if he plays the way he's supposed to be playing with these 9 games left over, hell yeah, for sure. And in playoff contention as opposed to the Timberwolves, hell yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Facts.
Moving on from that, I just want to pay some homage to Kevin Porter Jr. I thought it was only one Porter Jr., but apparently there's two now. But Kevin Porter Jr. the other night against the Bucks, obviously Giannis didn't play, but it's not going to take away. You still in the NBA. You still got to play defense. He scored 50 points versus the Bucks. This is a guy who just came out of the G League, I think, as well too, and he made 9 threes and had 11 assists as well too. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. When you looked at his highlights, maybe I'm gassing a little bit, maybe I'm a little tipsy right now. I don't really know, but he was looking like a little baby James Harden out there, man. And obviously they got John Wall, they got Christian Wood, they got these solid pieces, but more importantly, they're going to have some good draft equity moving forward as well too. So who's to say they don't, rebuild and start to compete for playoffs and a championship in a couple of years from now as well too. But I
Mhm.
just want to show them some love. I think they really have something to build with, because I don't see John Wall in the future, but I do think they have something to build with Kevin Porter Jr. now, and also Christian Wood now as well too. I was making a joke the other day to one of my friends. I said, you got a baby Harden, you got a baby AD, or like at least a poor man. So hopefully they can move forward with that as well too. But who cares about 50, right? Well, you can get 60. So Jason Tatum dropped 60 points against my Spurs the other day, and we were up 30, bro. Like I was bored today. I was like, yo, I need something to watch. I don't really feel like watching any film or television. I just want to watch some hoops right now. And I looked at the scores. Like, yo, let me tune into my Spurs because I haven't really been showing them too much love this year. You know what I'm saying? I'll pay attention if it's a close game. But I looked at the box score. I'm like, yo, we have 30. And I'm just getting roasted left and right. Hour later, look at the fourth quarter. We only down, we only up one. I'm like, yo, what the
Yeah.
hell is going on?
A little bit
And I
different.
checked the box score. Tatum's
Tatum got like 40.
at like 40 something. I'm like, yo, what the? Let me tune in right now. They end up going to overtime. But he just looked like the best player in the league for a little bit. Like I said, he had 60 points, shot over 50% from the field, which is crazy. 20 of 37 from the field, only missed 2 free throws out of attempting 17, and made 5 out of 7 threes as well, too. And like I said, they were down 30. So with Jason Tatum, it's just like, damn, you've been battling COVID. You've been going through a lot of shit this year. Your team isn't necessarily the best and in position to where you thought it'd be. But for you to come out and show out, that shows who you are as an individual, and that shows how dangerous this team could potentially be as well too. So my question for you is, you think Celtics that I mean, I remember we had a couple episodes back where we're like, we literally pondered for a little bit. We're like, yo, like
Yeah, we ain't know.
what's good with the Celtics? And I'm giving this soliloquy and shit like that, and you just like, I don't know. And then we just started gigging for a little bit. And I still really don't know what's going on with them as well, too. I don't know who to point the fingers at. I guess it would be a 33.3% share of the blame for every aspect from coaching to from the GM to the player standpoint. But do you think Tatum will still have enough, because it seems like he has to carry such a load now just for them to actually be in a top 6 seed or just be in a playoff hunt as well too? Do you think Tatum's going to have enough juice left in the tank for the playoffs? And there's teams that can quote unquote turn that switch on, right? And obviously with the past history of the Celtics, I think in Jason Tatum's career, they've been to the conference finals at least I want to say 2 times as well too, against Bron, and then also last year as well too. They may have made another year, but those are the only years that I think about right now. Do you think that Tatum, one, has enough juice left in the tank to perform at a high level like this in the playoffs? Two, do you think they can turn that switch off? And three, do you think there's still a team that can be quote unquote scary as a matchup in the playoffs as well too?
Yeah, I think they're a scary matchup. Three, I think they want to go ahead and clinch that probably fifth seed, possibly. No, wait. Boom, 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 boom. Tripping. Maybe they want to move up. Maybe they want to stay at six. Who knows? But it's the 5 and 4, right?
Yeah, so right now they're currently the 6 seed, 34 and 30. The Knicks are the 4th seed, which they're 35 and 28, but they're only 2.5 games behind the Knicks. So, like I said, there's about 9, 10 games left for everyone. So,
Mhm.
who's to say they don't finish with the 4th seed, or or
But
anywhere between the 4 to 6 seed, or out of the or in the playoff game? So,
I think they want to have home, and I think they want to be a little bit of a higher seed. So I think that fourth, possibly fifth seed, if a rainy day happens, would be great for them. Jason Tatum having enough in the tank, I think yes. I think they've been trying to figure it out this whole year. We don't know what's really exactly wrong with them, but when Jason Tatum goes off for 60 points, it's really tough to beat them, as we've seen. But for all intents and purposes, they were down in that game. You know what I'm saying? They were down going to halftime. He had to do that out of desperation. So who's to say that the next team that gets them down like that doesn't just put their foot on their necks and get them out of there? You know what I'm saying? So I think, it's beautiful to see somebody score 60 points in a win. But at the same time, it's like, why do they have to score 60 points? What's going on with this team? How's it going? It still calls for concern. I think Celtics will always be scary. They're a contender, or we thought they were a contender, but their consistency has been in question. We want to see more from them somehow, some way, but they keep giving us the same old. So um, they're scary, but it's like, what are you going to get from them? You never really know. Jason Tatum scoring 60 points, cool, or them being out in the first round. It's a plethora of things that they're you just can't account for just yet.
yeah, I think they have to definitely, if they want to at least get to the second round, they got to get that 4 or 5 seed, because
Hmm.
the number 1 through 3 seed is pretty much locked up with the Nets, Philly, and the Bucks. So I don't see you beating them in the 7 game series if everyone's fully healthy. So I definitely, if I were them, would try to fight their way to get the 4 or 5 seed, or else, like you said, that's a first round exit as well too. And even if they match up 4 or 5, and let's say they play like a Miami Heat, I still got the Heat as the favorites, you know what I'm saying, given their track record from last year. But When you have a star like Tatum, and you have Kemba healthy with Jalen Brown and whatnot, I think you still have a chance, but it's definitely going to be harder this year than any other year since Tatum and Brown have been in the league as a tandem together as well too. So we'll see how that goes. Moving on from that, the Greek Freak suffered another ankle injury. So this year, he's been, overcompensating for his ankle, and he's had some knee pain as well too. So missed a couple games as well. But the Bucks have been on the roll lately as well too. So he played the other night against the Rockets, in which, like I said, Kevin Porter Jr. scored 50 points. But Giannis only played 46 seconds of that game, and he only had 1 point, 1 or 2 from the free throw line. And with me, it's like that's your asset. You just signed a super max. He made some demands. He got Drew Holiday and some other players added to the roster as well too. They're historically known for having a number one seed, but this year they're the number three seed. So they kind of been under the radar as well too. And I obviously think they're still a team to be reckoned with as well too. But last year in the playoffs around this time, he did have that ankle injury versus the Heat, and he ended up not being able to finish out that series, and they lost 4-1 as well too. Are you concerned moving forward that this could be something that lingers? If you're a part of the organization slash the coaching staff and whatnot, do you have a sit down and say, "Yo, we know it's not too big of a injury itself, but we don't want to essentially re-aggravate that"? Do you sit them out for the remainder of the playoffs to rest up? Do you think that hurts their chemistry they've been building? Because I don't really see them moving away from the 3 seed like that. I think they have a couple of games ahead of the New York Knicks as well right now too. But what is your thought process as the player, Giannis? And then what is your thought process putting your GM slash coaching hat on as well too with this player?
If he tell me if he tells me he feels good and can go, he plays. As far as Giannis goes, I don't know the severity of it. We know what kept him out of playing the Heat last year, but also the Heat kind of had their number, so it was like a little bit abysmal from that standpoint. But they really did have his number. With that little 2-3 that sheesh, I didn't know could stop a 7 foot tall person. If I knew a 2-3 could stop a 7 foot tall person, I play 2-3 all the time because I'm just trying to stop kids 5'11". But yeah, I think from a honest standpoint, you have to, for the money, it's all for the money. Cream, cash rules everything around me. Get the money, dollar bills, y'all. So if it's gonna hinder me and hurt me a little bit more, or if it's a lingering kind of thing, I'm gonna sit until I'm good to go. But if not, I'm gonna go out and play because for I bought into this philosophy. I bought into this team instead of going to the Warriors, which would have made it a little bit of a funner league this year, but whatever. Um, but so yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Organization, if he can go, hey, come on, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Let's make this push. Um, Giannis, if it's hurting and it's lingering, I'm gonna protect me, my money, and my family, and live to play another day.
Yeah, I mean, with the playoffs coming right around the corner, I mean, the only thing that I would want is to just keep building upon that chemistry that's already been kind of implemented. Because, like I said, as of I think since post All Star break, they've been one of the best teams in the NBA as well too. So I will want to continue to build on that as well too. But obviously he's your best player, so you're going to need him for the longevity of the playoffs, and we expect them to make a huge playoff run as well too. And it's in their favor because if the Nets have the number one seed, in the second round they play Philly, so they can potentially get to the conference finals as well too. But like you said, if you're good to go, you're good to go. But a lot of times players have too much of an ego, too much pride. So even though they're not 100%, they're going to say they're 100% just to play. I mean, we just came out a couple weeks ago when they said, I guess the owner of the 76ers used to hide AI's jersey so he couldn't play to further his injury. So that could be a case with Giannis as well, too. But like I said, looking at the standings right now for the conference, they are 4 games ahead of the New York Knicks right now. So I don't think that's necessarily a cause for concern. So if you can rest them just for a couple games, then you rest them for about 3-4 games and let them finish out the season. But I wouldn't really want to take that gamble necessarily. But like you said, if he truly says he's good to go, then let him go. But looking at the schedule right now, they got the Nets. They got the Nets today. Then they got the Nets Tuesday back to back. I would kind of want to play one of those games just to see how, just to have some footage and archive footage just to see how I'm going to potentially play against them from an offensive and defensive strategy standpoint as well too. Then they got the Wizards, Rockets, Spurs, Magic, Pacers, and Heat to finish out, and the Bulls to finish out the season as well too. So a lot of winnable games I think they can do without Giannis, but um, I definitely want them to have him on the floor. But like I said too, I'll probably be precautious with everything as well too, because you got to think bigger picture at the end of the day as well too. Um, moving on from that, Russ God and the Washington Wizards, man. We had we had an episode a while back where we said, "Yo, is what's good with Westbrook? He's still in his prime. What's good with the Wizards? And like, what the hell is going on, man?" The Wizards have been catching a lot of heat this season, like we said before. The duo not working out. Russell Westbrook being a cancer. Obviously, they've been battling injuries and protocols as well too. Bradley Beal, talked about his frustration with the Wizards, but still, playing his heart and soul out. Talking about we can't guard a park bus. There's just so much drama around the Washington Wizards. John Wall, even there's just so much shit going on with the Wizards, and we're just like, yo, to have two superstars like this, and for y'all to be the second to worst team in the East for most of the beginning of the season, like, yo, what the fuck is going on with y'all as well too? But they've been on a tear lately as well too. I mean, Russ for the season, and shout out to Russ because a lot of people, kind of like LeBron James' greatness, we take Russ Westbrook's greatness
For granted.
for granted, bro. He's averaged triple double 3 years straight. Obviously, he was on the Houston Rockets last year, so he had to defer to James Harden. But aside, I mean, he still had an MVP type of season last year, and people don't even talk about that, right? Because of the bubble, had a hamstring injury, quad injury, so it didn't end the way they wanted to, and he just happened to face LeBron James in the playoffs. That's kind of hard. It's like going up against Jordan. You don't really have a shot like that. But for the year, he's been averaging 22, 11, and 11. And since April the 7th, the Washington Wizards have gone 12-3, and Russ has been averaging 23, 12, and 13. So they are currently right now, I think, in the 10th seed for the playing game as well too. So I guess my question for you is, are you surprised at all that they were able to turn this around and be able to at least compete for a playoff spot? Yeah, so I guess let's start off with that.
Keep it short and sweet. No, not necessarily. That was the goal in the beginning of it anyway. It just took them a while to get it kind of started and going. But I'm not surprised at all. I mean, Russ is putting up the numbers. We seem like, oh, they're winning games. And, Brad Bill has been Brad Bill since shit. He's been Brad Bill for a while now. So on top of, I think who they had to go down a injury. It wasn't Rui.
Denny,
Yeah, yeah.
the
One
rookie
of
that
their
they drafted. Yeah,
Yeah, he went out with an injury, but it's like, yo, like this was what they expected from the start to try to at least make the playoffs. They had Russ, who his teams have made the playoffs in the past recent years, and he can put up the numbers with his team without his team to do so. I mean, that's why he's so great. So this is what we thought would hopefully happen. Maybe not, fighting like this, but they're in a contention right now, being possible playing. So hey.
yeah, for sure. And this year, whether we realize it or not, there's very few that have been on the same team and have had the opportunity to have a player on the team lead an assist and have a player lead with points. So Russ and Beal, if the cards fall in their hands, they're going to be on that list among the very few who lead and with someone who has top assists as averaging and then top points for points average as well too, which would be dope. Where do you think Russ is going to end up as an all-time great? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, his greatness gets taken for granted, but from an athletic standpoint, he's one of the most athletic, if not the most athletic point guard of all time as well too. But do you see him ending on like a top 20, 25 list of all time? I know lists are subjective, but would he be in your list of a top 25 player of all time when it's all said and done? I mean, he's only 32, so he still has a lot left in the tank as well too.
Right now at this point where I'm at, and this is me, so it's subjective, but I don't know if If I could have him on a top 25 of all time, I could put him on the top 25, top 5, 10 position of all time. Like a scoring guard, a shooting guard, possible point guard if you want to keep it real. Because just those numbers you can't make that up. You know what I'm saying? You can't quote unquote. I'm padding stats. Nah, bro. Like you know how to play basketball. That's the only way you know how to pad stats. But which is also the same reason that I could put him on the top 25 of all time because his numbers are just so ridiculous. I mean, how many other players can go out and just get you a double double, a triple double, or whatever like that? Night in and night out. That's not easy to do. That's basketball skill at work, and God bless athleticism at work. So uh, for that same reason, I could put him on the 25 list. For that same reason, I could also put him on the list of being on top 5, top 10 shooting guards, possibly point guards of all time.
Okay. Cool. So a couple more topics before we end the episode for the day. Should we be worried about the Nets' health during the playoffs? Obviously James Harden has been one of the most durable players aside from like LeBron James and Russell Westbrook, among other players as well too. But hamstring injury has had him out for a while. We already know with KD coming off the Achilles injury, and he's been battling some hamstring injuries. He's only played 6 games in a row this entire year as well too. And with Kyrie, he hasn't really been out too much because of health related problems, but obviously off the court problems as well too. But do you see a red flag for them not being able to only play able only able only, they only be able to play 7 games together? Do you see their health being overbearing concern moving into the playoffs, or you think they're going to be locked and loaded and ready to go? And if the playoffs were to start today, they all essentially be playing right now.
No, all the time. That's the next team that injury prone has had injuries. I don't know how to say lingering or not, but there's a team that if they're on the floor, they're gonna win the championship. But would take them away from the floor was being injured, hamstring, yada yada like that, where they could drop a game here or there. Which after a long season and a long kind of trek in the Eastern Conference, that could be the Eastern Conference playoffs. You get to the Western Conference Finals, who knows? I mean, get to the NBA Finals, who knows? Maybe it's James Harden with a hamstring this game, it's KD with the calf next game. You know what I'm saying? You start picking and choosing, but everything has to add up to playing maybe 7 games, playing best out of 7 games. So you can't just take one of your players away in that scenario. That's crucial. So is health a concern for them? Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, who do you think will get out of their slump and be ready for the playoffs? Like, who do you trust the most? The Heat, the Celtics, or the Blazers? A question from one of our viewers.
To get out the slump the most, Dame Time. He went out last year in the bubble. If he can figure out that playing game and get into that, I think they can figure it out and win it. After that is the Heat, who made it to the finals last year. The Blazers haven't been to the finals at all, so I maybe put the Heat over the Blazers. But probably Heat, to figure it out, make a good run down the stretch, and then the Blazers, being that they didn't lose any games in the bubble last year and know what's up when it comes to playoff time.
Yeah, that was a tough one. It's really a toss up between the Blazers and Heat as well too. But given the like you said, Dame went insane in the bubble as well too. But he basically had to play like a god just for them to get to the eighth seed. So I think I have the Heat as being the top team to get out of their slump to be ready for the playoffs as well too. And given that Dave actually suffered a lot of nagging injuries this year and also COVID as well too. I think they're one of those teams where I know we talked about the Suns a little bit earlier. Or do you think they can be dangerous? I think the Heat can be a dangerous team going into the playoffs as well too. So we'll see what happens with that. Another question for you: what team do you trust the most? The Clippers, 76ers, Utah, or the Bucks, and why?
76ers, and this is gonna sound crazy because we've seen Doc Rivers' team lose 31 games, but 76ers have already been a powerhouse. They have a coach that knows how to this is contradictory to what I just said, but he's been playoff tested, and I wouldn't say playoff adjustments because that would just kill my whole argument. But I think Doc Rivers has what it takes to possibly win a championship, along with that team who you should watch out with, barring injury aside. So I would give it to the 76ers. The Clippers, I don't believe in them just yet. I have to see something. Utah, the Heat, yes, the Heat can push it past. They have the GM combination, the coach combination, and if their players are playing, they can figure that out. But I'm gonna have to give it to Philly. What's up?
That's a great answer as well too. For the same reason you give it to Philly was the same reason I don't give it to Philly quite yet because of Coach Doc as well. But I mean, with the teams I listed, Utah, Bucks, 76ers, Clippers, and I guess Heat as well too. Um, Aside from the Heat, um, none of these teams have proven anything. You know what I'm saying? So I guess if I had to choose, I would just choose the Clippers just because of I'm more encouraged by Paul George this season. I think Ty
Mhm.
Lue has put not only him in position to be successful as well too, but he also has implemented a new system for them as well too. One of the best defensive teams and the top 3-point shooting team in the NBA as of late right now. And with Kawhi, and PG kind of going out like some punks last year as well too.
Oh,
I think that adds extra motivation. Acquiring Rondo, getting DeMarcus Cousins, acquiring Serge Ibaka, Luke Kennard, they got more depth as well too. So I think from top to bottom, I think they're the team that I would trust the most out of these teams that are mentioned as well too. So we'll definitely see how that goes as well. Last topic, like I said, we haven't recorded in a while, so I just want to pay homage to my guy right here and ask your opinion. But Steph, babyface assassin Curry, man, had there's a couple players that come to mind with us who have had just random tears throughout the regular season, whether it be for a couple games or just a stretch of games for a month or whatnot. So players that come to mind is Dame in the bubble, Russell Westbrook going on his first triple double historic season. D Wade, 08, 09 season, and then Kobe just going for 50 points. It feels like every damn night as well, too. Steph Curry is now kind of catapult his way into that category as well, too. So for the month of April has been very, very historic. Averaged 37 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 52% from the field, 47% from three, 91% from the free throw line. And may I remind people, he's not only a 7-time All-Star, he's a 2-time MVP, 1-time unanimous MVP, 3-time NBA champion, greatest shooter of all time, and changed the game of basketball forever. So I just wanted to give him flowers as well too, because last year some of us, including me, was talking like Dane the best point guard in the NBA. Look at Dane's range. Steph was like, who are y'all? Like, I know Dame is great, but did y'all forget who I am? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I
Steph gives
he like I
Dame
like
look
I said,
every time.
yeah, yeah, and he cooks them every time, like you said. So, like I said, for people who find different avenues to watch these games, if you have money you want to invest into NBA League Pass, Steph is definitely worth that as well too. But my last question for you is Steph the best point guard already of all time, or should he keep playing, or am I just reaching?
It's so subjective, and I'm such a critical person at times. He's probably the best shooting point guard we've ever seen ever. I mean, best shooter in the league ever. Um, it further doubles down my narrative that he's not going to stay in Golden State unless they get their stuff together. I think he was trying to wait for Clay, but again, having so many roots in Virginia and Charlotte, for that matter, Dell Curry, them growing up in it's like Danville to damn near Roanoke, Virginia. Um, I could see him just saying, "Hey, Mike, yo, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna come over there. I'm gonna finish the next 4 or 5 years out with you." You got Lamelo Ball, who's hooping. I think he gives Golden State 1 or 2 more years. But after that, he probably come East Coast and be a shooter to veteran guard. Probably the Charlotte Hornets that would probably keep him for however long he wanted to play, and he would probably be a good little somebody in Michael's ear to, hey, you should get this person, you should get this person, you should get this person, or so on and so forth. I think it's really, really dope. And, they have the assets to get get over to Golden State that will make it a decent kind of exchange, if not, free agency kind of thing. If that ever happens, I'm not sure. I'm not super big into contracts, whatever like that. I have to look into more of it, so don't shoot me about that, listeners. But yes, Steph Curry has to be respected and admired as at least the best shooting and scoring point guard of all time. Point guard of all time. I'd have to do more research. I'm not going to get myself in trouble with that, but he is damn near, have to be top five.
Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely top five. Like I said, his career is not over yet. We don't know if he's going to take the route of a Tim Duncan or a Dirk or a Kobe who just wants to remain loyal and just be a part of one organization because it's really hard to come across that. Or if he's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sign this off-season super extension. Let me see how it works out with Klay Thompson back as well too. Because right now they're playing 500 basketball. Who's to say if Wiseman didn't get hurt, Kelly Oubre wasn't in and out the lineup, and Steph is back? I mean, Klay is back. They're not a playoff team right now. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's gonna let us see
Uh,
how things unwind. And if he's who I think he is, and wants to get championships, then he's probably gonna dip. But like I said, at the end of the day, like he's already cemented. He's just adding to his greatness, right? You know what I'm saying? He's done so
yeah,
much for the game of the NBA. He changed it. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna see what happens with that as well too. But I don't think he's necessarily the best point guard of all time right now, but he's definitely headed in that in that stratosphere right now. But ladies and
facts.
gentlemen, that was episode 107 of the Season Show. Trader XXIV, do you have any last minute statements, wise words, anything you want to relay over to the audience?
Do I have any last words? Recently we saw the Derek Chauvin trial verdict, and it was a verdict that was very much in line in some ways with what he did to brother George Floyd. But in the midst of that, please be vigilant, please be cognizant, and please be very aware that your state legislatures are passing bills to outlaw freedom of speech, outlaw the things that helped us get to that verdict, which would be protesting, assembly, a speech in some ways. So they're passing anti protest bills. They're passing voter suppression bills and so on and so forth. And this is in a great number of states. I think last time I saw it was like almost 39 states. So go on, log on, subscribe to what's going on, and be vigilant, and sign the petitions. Get in front of that, and don't sit back and just think that one piece of bread is the whole loaf, because it's not. We got to keep fighting. We got to keep staying vigilant, and we can't let it's the game that was set in place that wasn't meant for us to succeed. But while we can play it in a very, I won't say peaceful manner, but in a manner to which it doesn't enact violence just yet. You have to do that. So sign the petition, be a voice, repost on social media, so on and so forth, because that's the beginning stages of quote unquote violence against us. The quote unquote, us seeing the images and the videos that we've seen. So getting it in the legislation stage first. That way, even more so when we're out in the streets and when we're out speaking out and when we're out kind of risking it all, it's more so justified, so on and so forth. So everybody just be vigilant, be safe, and love to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Anything for you, Sir Caesar?
Nah, I think that's a perfect way to end it, bro. Yeah, just keep the fight alive. That was great. I always love what you have to say as well too. Very enlightening. So yeah, we'll end it at that. Ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen, that was episode 107 of the Season Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Season Show, at TraderXXIV, at Sir Caesars. We out.
peace.